Welcome everyone to the Fourth Taverian podcast. My name is Justin and I'm your host, and I'm here with my fellow Taverian, Kyle. How are you doing, Kyle?
Good. How's it going, everybody?
Glad to have you here with us to break down this latest news and some of the cool things that we've been getting from Amazon Prime's Wheel of Time. If you aren't aware, season 2 has been filming, and from what I understand, it's pretty much wrapped up. They're working on post-production and getting things ready for the next season. And we're here to talk about a recent trailer. They call it a Sizzle reel, where they release some of the scenes, but it's mostly kind of behind the scenes action that we're getting. And so there's some clues, there's some cool moments that we've been able to see, and we'll talk about that. So this trailer was released at San Diego Comic-Con in July 2022. So that's where we're getting this information. And then we'll also be talking about a recent Ask Me Anything that the showrunner Rafe Judkins did on Twitter. So there's some questions asked, and he answered some of them. We'll kind of highlight the ones we like the best and what we think about the answers, as well as the content that was revealed. Not a lot was revealed, but there are some tidbits there. So we'll talk about that and kind of see what we think about where this season 2 is going. So we'll get into it. Anything from you, Kyle, as far as the things that in general, kind of overall, as far as the content we're getting in anticipation of season 2, how is that, or is it, lead you to anticipate what's coming up next after the season 1 that we got?
No, I think so. I think it's based on the sizzle reel, and we'll dive into it. There were some things that got me curious, got me excited, right? And I'm sure many of you have heard our season 1 review episode by episode, right? We've got moments in there where, as Justin pointed out, it's kind of a therapy session because we love the book so much, and this is a bit of a departure from them. But there were definitely some scenes and some shots in this reel that we got that made me excited. So I'm excited to break it down and talk to you guys about it.
Yeah, definitely some good stuff. There were some cool moments that I was hoping to see, and we got to see, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, as far as the trailer goes, there wasn't anything on the official Amazon Prime YouTube channel, which was surprising, because that's the official channel, I would say. There's a lot of stuff about the upcoming Lord of the Rings series, tons of documentaries and kind of behind the scenes, and even some trailers there. So they're definitely ramping up for that show to come out September 2nd, I believe. And that makes sense. There'd be more content for them based on the date that's coming up sooner than Wheel of Time. And I don't think we've gotten a release date for season 2 of the Wheel of Time at this point. But I would imagine it's later this year or early next year, after Lord of the Rings has come and gone as far as season 1, because I don't think they'd want to have both of these epic fantasy series competing against one another. So it makes sense that they'd want to wait. But so I got this trailer. I saw this trailer on Twitter, on the official Wheel of Time account. They released this sizzle reel. So go there if you want to view it yourself, if you haven't already. So we start off with kind of they're in this desert place. I don't know if it's necessarily the waste, but I would assume it is, or at least close to it. Maybe it's up by Faldara based on what we saw in season 1. But the first scene we get is the kind of behind the camera that's filming a scene with 3 veiled individuals. One of them looks to be a woman, and the other 2 have our back to us, so we can't really tell. But it looking like it's Samael there, and based on their build and stuff, it's probably the Maidens of the Spear is what I'm guessing. What are your thoughts on that?
That's kind of what I thought too. They look like Maidens of the Spear. They look like they've got veils, right? That
Yeah.
are lowered, obviously. So I would bet that they're Maidens of the Spear.
Mm-hmm. yeah, so our first glimpse of some maidens. The environment's right. The clothing is right. It's kind of browns, light and dark browns. Seems to be consistent with the book. Veils, I always thought they were black veiled ales, right? That was the term that the Two Rivers folks would always use. But these ones are brown. Maybe we're just not seeing them, but
That could be. That could be.
yeah, there's a light brown shufa. Is that what they call them? The headdress.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we got that. And then it switches to Lan and Moraine walking on a beach. So I doubt it's the same location, not the waste. My guess, based on the chronology of the book, it would be Falm. But it could be a flashback, so maybe it's a different area, another coastline that we are looking at here.
Yeah, I would bet that, and to your point, it's likely Falma or something else, or a flashback. And when we get into the Q&A with Rafe Judkins, he did say that he was going to expand Lan and Moraine's storyline quite a bit from what we see in the book. So this could be part of that as well.
Yeah. And I saw that as well, and that makes sense. I mean, you have two great actors. You don't want to, because in book 2, in the novels, they're not really that, they're there, but they're more background characters. And so you don't want them just on the sidelines for these great actors that we got here. So that makes sense. And
Yeah.
if it's flashbacks, even better, in my
Yep.
opinion.
Totally agree. I think they could pull a lot from New Spring and all sorts of so.
Yeah. So we got them walking on the beach, and then it switches to back to a desert that doesn't look like it's near the beach. And we got some people riding horses. They're wearing white, so maybe some white cloaks. I guess
Maybe
the horses look armored.
right. And that's kind of what I was thinking as well. Thinking back to season 1 when we saw the white cloaks in the forest, right?
Mm-hmm.
They look similar, and so it wouldn't surprise me if they're white cloaks. I don't know where they'd be.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they're up in the borderlands up here, right?
Yeah,
So I don't know. 'Cause
that's a good
typically the
question.
white
What are they
cloaks,
doing?
they aren't going to the waste, right, in the books, and so. But yeah, who knows?
Yeah,
Who knows in this adaptation? So
yeah. So we got some camera shots. There's a shot of a wheel, which I don't know what part that would play in the story. Maybe it's just an icon shot, right?
that
Kind of
could
cool.
that could be. It kind of looks like a torture device of some sort.
Yeah, could be. Because it does have some things on the edges, right? Like
Right.
those
Like handcuffs,
straps. Yeah,
apps or something.
yeah. That's a good
And that,
point.
and that has, I mean, obviously, I don't know, I don't remember anything like this in the book, but you think back to medieval times, and when you would break someone on the wheel, right? That was,
Yeah,
was actually a torture methodology in medieval times, and so
yeah. I do remember a scene from one of the books. It's later in the story, kind of one of the middle books, where someone's captured, maybe an Aes Sedai, and she's being held on some sort of contraption where her arms, her hands, and feet are strapped down, and she's being tortured on some level. But it could be something like that. Maybe Forsaken or Dark Friends are capturing people and using this to torture them, possibly.
no, that could be, that could be.
Yeah. So then we got an interesting shot here. This guy with white hair, blondish white hair. It's a white cloak based on his armor, at least. But he's got his face veiled. Interestingly enough.
I think that might be just due to the dust storm, I would think,
Right.
because the white cloaks don't typically veil their faces at all.
Right. It is in the desert, so it could be something along those lines, just dusty. The wind seems to be blowing. And there's a guy behind him, similarly veiled, a white cloak as well. It's kind of blurry, can't really tell. But who would this guy be? I'm thinking it's Dane Bornhold, right? It's a younger guy. younger white cloak. So it'd have to be someone like that, along those lines.
I would think so. It could be Dane.
Hmm.
It could be Dane. He does have a bit of a crazy look about him.
Yeah.
So that's what makes me think it might be Dane Bornhold.
Yeah. Yeah. And when does he start tracking Rand and Perrin and those guys?
Isn't it after Falma?
Yeah.
Because is he the
Because
one?
they think he killed his dad.
Yeah, he thinks they killed his dad in Falma,
Hmm.
right?
Right. But I know in book 1, when they capture Perrin, the White Cloaks capture Perrin and Egwene, Dane's there, right? And he kind of tries to get him to escape so he can kill him.
Right.
And he seems kind of crazy at that point. So maybe something stemming from that first capture, where I think that does set him along the path of, hey, I got to get these guys from the Two Rivers. And then when they kill it, well, when he thinks they kill his dad, then that just sets him on that path for good.
Right.
So maybe this is the beginnings of that.
And I hope so similar to our other Taviran who isn't here, but I really like some of the white cloaks in the books, and I really hope, and yes, they're kind of not great folks in the book, right? But I really hope the show represents some of the white cloaks as good people, right?
Right.
But for example, Dane's dad, Jeffrem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrem Bornhold, a really good guy, right? And I think he's there for all the right reasons, and he's
honorable.
Make a difference. He's an honorable person, right? So I hope they can represent some of the white cloaks in the show as honorable warriors, really looking to make a positive difference in the world. So
yeah, and not just this crazy, what's the word? Cult. Yeah, they're just you don't mess with them, you don't deal with them. They're just this stereotypical group, and not individuals. That some are crazy, some take it too far, but some or most are just like, hey, we're here to fight the bad guys, and that's what we want to do.
Right.
Yeah. So potentially Dane. The next scene is a group of people. I see a lot of top knots, so maybe Shinarans, and guy looks like Perrin from the back. We can't see their faces. It's all from the back, so we don't know who it is, but I'm guessing it's Perrin and some Shinarans or Borderlanders, right?
You look close, and the front guy
mm-hmm.
looks like Uno.
The blonde.
Yeah, the front blonde guy.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So how is that possible?
Well,
according to season 1, it looked like Uno was dead.
Yeah. Well, in one of the questions that Rafe answers, someone did ask that question, like, hey, what about Uno? What's the deal there? And he said, well, if you look closely, he's breathing. So implying he's not totally dead. He's only, what's the phrase? Partly dead?
Mostly dead.
Mostly dead.
He's one of those Miracle Max pills.
Yeah. He's only mostly dead.
And where's Billy Crystal when you need him?
Yeah. So there's that. Maybe a group of warders, but I don't think they'd all have the top knots or the same haircut as the Borderlanders do. So okay, so we got that. A lot of quick cuts, not a lot of context. Just the scene. We don't really know what's going on in these. The next scene is Waygate, or at least this show's interpretation of a Waygate, and it's all grown over, foliage covering it basically. But there's also some palm trees there, implying that it's tropical, or I guess there's palm trees in the desert.
Yeah, with like oasis.
Yeah.
Oases.
Yeah. It does kind of look like an oasis for sure. So I don't know, where would this Waygate be if you had to speculate?
Do you think it's? Yeah, that's tough. Because I mean, the first thought that comes to mind, and I don't think this is Ruidian, like Ruidion,
Oh, yeah.
out in the waste, right? Because
Right.
Ruidion seemed to still be. I mean, it was deserted, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it still seemed to still be lush.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's it. Maybe it's the Camelin Waygate. Where was that? I can't remember where the Camelin Waygate was.
Camelin was in the basement
Okay,
of
so
that guy's shop.
uh,
Cairhine, or however you say it, was in this walled off area, like a garden type area, and it had been overgrown.
so maybe
So
that's Kyrian. I don't
yeah,
know.
that could be it. Or somewhere in Falm, close to Falm, because instead of doing the portal stone thing with the alternate realities, or where Landfire accompanies Rand and the group to Falm, maybe it's they just use a waygate, make it simple, you know. So maybe that, or it could be a flashback with Moraine. Next shot looks to be Faldara, or somewhere in the Borderlands. Kind of get this overhead shot of a group of soldiers preparing. My first guess is they're preparing for someone to crash the gates, like Trollocs or bad guys coming in the front gate, so they're getting ready to fight them, is what I gather. And based on their haircuts, again, Borderlanders is my guess.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. Whether it's Faldar or somewhere else, I
Mm-hmm.
think they're preparing for an attack.
Yeah. So one thing the show does well is it fleshes out a lot of off-screen things that we just hear about later, or we just don't really read about it. Let's hear about it. Could it be something like that, where they're? Because I think later in this sequence we see some white cloaks attacking the Borderlanders. There's some fights between them. Do you remember anything in the novels about something happening off screen where there is a conflict between the Borderlanders and the White Cloaks somewhere else besides Faldara?
Um, Nothing comes to mind, but I do know all of them regularly hold white cloaks in contempt, and this could be one of those reasons, right? One of those poor encounters that present such feelings. And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to think of a conflicts between them.
Yeah, nothing's coming to mind for me either. So maybe it's Trollocs. Next sequence is an explosion in this village, unnamed people. Not a lot of, no context really. But I do have a theory about that I'll talk about later. Next sequence after that is Rand walking with his new haircut, his new buzz cut, walking through a misty town, like I don't know, I don't want to say alleyway, but in between the houses and stuff, with a torch. It's dark. I do think it's Lan behind him, because we do see two people behind him. One looks like Lan with the Hodori, and then the other person can't really see the face. It's just this hair. So I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that? Who
No,
it
that
could
was
be?
my thought too, because you can see the Hodori across his forehead and
Yeah.
the kind of the outline of a quasi top knot as well.
Yeah.
So Rand rocking the buzz cut though, huh?
Yeah.
I didn't know they had such instruments in those times.
Yeah. This is the one power.
It's the
Right.
one. That's a great use of the one power. I'm gonna buzz
Yeah.
my hair.
I totally would do. I'd totally shave or give myself a haircut with the one power if I could.
Maybe that avoids all the cuts or like missteps, or it could kill you too. So
Yeah. Good way to hone your skills, right?
yeah, very true.
And if it's Lan, I mean, the other person's got to be Moraine, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe Nynaeve, but it's, got to be someone like that. Who else does Lan hang with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we go from that to a scene on the beach with Lan again, and I think it's Nynaeve this time.
Yeah, that looks like Nynaeve.
Mm-hmm. So Falm, I mean,
That could be Falma, yeah. Because
that's the
Nynaeve.
next big destination is going to Falm, at least
Yeah.
in the story. So quick scene there. Next scene, I'm guessing it's Egwene, but well, I don't know.
And she's got shaved like the side of her head.
Yeah, now that I look at it, the hair's short, the facial features are a little different.
Is
Yeah.
it Min?
Yeah, could be, kind of has that, has her look that we saw in season 1. So possibly. And is she involved in book 2? Not really. At the end, right? Or maybe that's the
I think so
start
at
of.
the end. I can't remember if she is in Falma.
Yeah, I don't think she is. She goes to the White Tower. In the story after Baerlon, she goes to the White Tower, right?
Right.
And then she leaves with Egwene and Queen Elaine.
Right.
When they leave, she goes with them, I think.
Yeah, because
She's at least there with them.
Then she gets mixed up with the Aes Sedai,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so then she gets stuck at the tower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't think she's in Falma.
Yeah, she doesn't go. She's there at the end when Rand's recovering from his battle in the sky with Balsamon.
Right.
She kind of comforts him, and he appreciates her help.
Yeah.
So next scene is assuming Rand. It's from the back. This guy with the buzzed head has Rand's build, so I'm assuming it's him walking through a village. He goes from the eye of the world in the northeast corner of the land to Falm. So he's either walking across the country, or he's making his way somehow across the country. And I'm guessing this is Falm, the outskirts of Falm. Is my guess.
Looks kind of like a seafaring town.
Yeah.
By the looks of it, so
Yeah.
it could be Falm.
But my question is, why does he decide to go to Falm? Because in the books, they go back to Faldara. Padden Fane's there, and he had escaped and said, "I'm going to Falm," and he took. Did he take the horn with him? I think he did. He stole the horn, took off, and so they had to chase him down.
Right. And then, like in the books, Rand and Matt go to this other world, right?
With
With
Huron?
is it Huron?
The guy who can smell things.
Yeah.
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 And it's those three that get stuck in that alternate world.
Right. And then don't they, after they come out of there, then they kind of make their way to Falm, right?
Right.
And so, and then obviously they encounter some of the Forsaken in there. And so, I guess to your point, why is he going to Falma?
Mm-hmm.
He has no idea that the horn is gone, or he really has no idea about the horn in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so,
yeah.
Maybe he feels the Shan coming, and he can feel the power and wants to go see what it is, maybe?
Yeah. I would hope they would explain that in the first episode. Like, maybe Rand does make his way back to Faldara, and he finds out what happened. He's like, "Oh, I got to go chase down Padden Fane," and there is a message on the wall or something.
Right.
And maybe that could happen. So we'll see. Hopefully, it's explained quick because there's only 8 episodes per season.
Right.
Then it quickly cuts to another view from the back of a guy with gray hair. I guess it could be a woman, with braided hair. I wouldn't call it a top knot necessarily,
No.
but it's similar to that. It could be Tom. My guess is it's Elias.
I could say I could see it being Elias, but I mean, all in the same breath, I would think Elias would have more of an outdoorsy outfit, I guess, more of a mountaineering outfit. But I mean, I don't know. Elias is a good guess, though. I think
Yeah.
Tom in the TV series here seemed like he had more of a kind of shorter, like
Yeah.
shoulder length brown hair, right?
Yeah.
So, which is totally different from the books, but still.
Yeah. I don't think it's Tom. If it was a woman, I don't know who it would be. Cad Swain. But no, she doesn't have the ornaments. So it's got to be Elias, because we know he's showing up in season 2.
Yeah.
Then we got a backside view of, I'm assuming it's Padden Fane. At least he has the build and the haircut.
Yep.
Is he in Faldara, or where is he at? What does that look like to you?
That's a good question. He might be, but it doesn't look like Faldo.
Yeah, the pillars are different. It seems
Yeah.
more like a different environment.
Maybe that's Camelin or Kyrian. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, story-wise, he's got to go to Falm, right?
Oh, exactly.
And so there really isn't a lot of cities in a direct line, because all the big cities are coastal cities, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily have to be a big city. I don't know. Maybe it's I just had an idea. We'll get back to it later when we read the questions from Rafe. Let's see if that fits. Next scene is a dark cloaked figure walking with a sword. We don't have any facial features to look at or anything really, but he is walking towards a stone that's about 4 feet high. Portal stone, maybe?
Seems awfully small to be a portal stone, but
Well, I know some of them were like really long, like tall, but
right.
some of them were buried or broken, and only
could-
parts were upright. So, but it seems to be that's what he's walking towards, right?
Yeah.
And it looks like it's man-made to some degree. So it wouldn't just be this rock that's there and he ends up just walking by, so it seems like he's walking towards that with a purpose.
Right.
So I would say portal stone.
The other theory, and this would make it not perhaps be a portal stone, is that could be Matt in the show.
This guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I did think that initially. Like, oh, is that Matt? Because he's gone all dark side, apparently. So the clothing would fit that mood that he's in now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The next sequence is, it looks like Aes Sedai on top of a round circular building. And my guess is we're just seeing, like, this is supposed to be a taller building, like a tower. But they're not going to build a tower for the show necessarily. So I think they built that on location because you see the background that looks like there's some rivers. So my guess is it's like a white tower type thing, or even a what's the city name there? Tarvalon location.
That could be. That could be. 'Cause
Then Yeah. And then they're
Yeah.
going to CG or stuff around it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they seem to be looking at something. I don't know. Not too exciting, really. Next up, we got a battle. And this is where I was thinking it's White Cloaks versus Borderlanders. That's what it seems to me that what we're seeing here. So the earlier shot with the people, the Borderlanders waiting for someone to enter their city. This is after that. Like this is the rest of the battle. I don't know. What do you think?
That could be. That could be. But the military opposite the White Cloaks, they look Andorran,
Okay.
like with the red and everything.
Okay.
And so maybe it's a flashback or some kind of conflict between the Andorrans and Camelin, right, and the White Cloaks. And I'm trying to find top knots to see that they're Borderlanders, right?
Yeah. Maybe I was just assuming there isn't any, possibly. Okay. It's a good eye.
And so, yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, White Cloaks, they are military, and so we're seeing them in action this season, which we didn't before. They were just kind of riding around their horses and not doing much. But here we're seeing them in battle. We see potentially Dane Bornhald tracking down someone or going somewhere for a battle. That's what it looked like to me earlier.
Right.
So that'll be cool. I think that was one of the things I wanted to see in the show is the White Cloaks, their military side of things and battles. I guess we saw at the end of book 2, The Great Hunt, the White Cloaks attacked the Shan Chan, right? Wasn't there a battle there at Falm?
Yes.
So maybe that's what we're seeing.
That could be. That could be. Do you recall at the end of season 1, did any of the I can't remember, did any of the soldiers have like locust helmets or anything else like that?
I don't remember. But yeah, the armor was always described as locust-like, bug-like, that type of thing.
Right.
Are we getting that vibe from these guys that the
I'm
White
not
Cloaks are
thinking
fighting?
the heads of all the folks or all the soldiers in the red, they all look bald.
Yeah. They don't have helmets on.
No, it doesn't look like they have helmets on. I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah. Okay. So that remains to be seen. Next scene is we got Egwene at the White Tower. Just standing there by herself thinking, I guess. She got something in her bag. I don't know if that's important. Like a gold disc, gold bowl, maybe. Gold plate.
Could be part of her studies. It looks like she's either in a. I don't think she's in an acceptance dress here, is she?
Probably not. Not at this point.
Oh.
So probably novice.
Yeah.
I do like seeing that. I do like that they're exploring that Egwene and I'm assuming Nynaeve in the tower.
Yeah.
And that's where they're going to meet Elaine, right?
Yep.
That's where they meet for the first time, and I'm looking forward to that. So that'll be cool. We got some training. I'm assuming it's warders at Tarvalin.
Yep.
And it's not Matt. And Rand has a buzz cut. So I would say the guy on the left is a warder. The guy on the right with the white shirt, Gawain, Galad, maybe, or both of them, Gawain, Galad. I don't know.
Maybe Gawain could be the one on the left and Galad on the right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I bet I would agree. I bet this is warder training.
Yeah. Which I'm excited to see.
I am stoked to see.
That better be awesome. Okay. Another explosion, similar to what we saw like 30 seconds ago. My guess is that first explosion, this explosion, the scene with Rand walking through the village with the torch, that is Shan Chan attacking, or Shan Chan controlled area like Falm.
Yeah.
That'd be my guess. Because they had the firepower that the rest of the armies didn't, right?
Right.
They had more advanced tech that way. Next scene, we got a white cloak battling. Looks like an Aiel.
I think it looks like an Aiel. Looking at the moves.
Yeah, the clothing. Guy's got an axe. So I don't know where that would fit into the story that we know already.
Yeah, I can't think of any battles between White Cloaks and Aiel.
Yeah. So we'll see. Then from there, we got the shot that I was most excited to see in the trailer with the fade pinned to the door. Looks like Borderlanders there.
And he looks like you got Perrin there too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So is this Faldara or just a village somewhere?
Isn't it like in the book? It's a village, right? Podon Fane nails a fade on the wall in a village.
Right. Yep. This doesn't look to be a village though.
Right. That's why I'm a little bit confused.
Yeah. But yeah, looks cool. Then we got Rand in the dark, sitting there thinking. We got Lan training, doing his sword forms, which I like.
Absolutely.
You got a horse riding through the forest at night. Moraine, maybe. Don't know. Padden Fane, looking pretty sinister.
And they just nailed the character casting for Podon.
Yeah.
Such a good job.
Yeah. We got a map with some strategy being played out. Looks like ships on the map. I'm guessing that's Shan Chan. The dark pieces, and then the resisting army. White cloaks probably.
Yeah.
On the other side. Based on the map, from what you see, where do you think that is? You think that is Falm?
I think so, because it looks like you've got ships coming across blue water, right? And then you have what I would assume to be Shan Chan holdings inside of Falma, right? And then White Cloak siege weapons outside.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I bet that's a. It might be. I bet this is a White Cloak strategy map, right? Because I would think if it was the Shan Chan, the red pieces would be far more detailed, right? So given that the white pieces have all the details, I bet Shan Chan, or not a Shan Chan, a White Cloak strategy session.
Yeah, that's a good point. You can, in the background on the left, you see like a white robe or something. Could be drapes, maybe, but it looks like a person wearing a white cloak. Okay, good eye. Next scene is battle. I'm assuming I would guess it's Falm again, with the Shan Chan invading and taking prisoners in the dark at night. They have armor on, and they do kind of look. They have helmet. At least the one guy in the middle. And then you got this. Oh, that's a camera guy. Never mind. Then after that, the next scene, you got this person, looks like a female, with this gold shield with triangles in it.
I bet that's a Shan Chan with a veiled.
Yeah.
Shan Chan, member of the blood.
Member of the blood. What was the one lady that was in charge at first? Eganine? That lady? She came with the Koran.
Right.
Um,
And then she kind of flips.
Yeah, she later flips.
That's a really good question. I can't remember her name.
Yeah.
It's going to come to me.
Yeah. I think it's her. Because it was her and the one guy that had the blade, the Heron Mark blade. That Rand ends up fighting. And I don't think it's... what's her name? The leader.
No, I don't think it's the Empress.
Yeah, it's not her. Which would be ironic if it was.
It really would be, because in the book, the Empress is black, isn't she?
Yeah, yeah. And this lady's white.
Like, guys, there's so much diversity in this book already.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's someone at that level. High up, but definitely not the Empress. Then the trailer wraps up with someone being bucked from their horse. We don't know what's going on there. A dude with a sword slashing down. It's so fast, it's just blurry. You can't even make out any detail except the guy has a red shirt on, has a beard. Maybe, looks like he maybe has a Hadori, but that wouldn't make sense. So, yeah, just so it's the whole, if you pause it, the image is blurry all the way through, so you can't even tell what's going on. I don't even know why they included that, but
right,
it's just so fast. So, and then it cuts to the logo, Wheel of Time Season 2. That's it. So,
I don't know. I like we said earlier, I think there's some good stuff in here.
yeah.
There's some good stuff.
Yeah.
You know? Rand, the buzz cut is the man. But yeah, the buzz cut is the buzz cut. But he looks far more brooding,
Mm-hmm.
a lot more like an authority figure, right? Well, not an authority figure, but like someone to be wary of, right? So
Right.
I like kind of what they're doing with Rand. Again, I mean, the cinematography just from this looks really great. So, while, yes, I'm sure we'll have many more therapy sessions when the episodes come out, I'm still going to watch it. So,
Yeah. I think this is a good tease, a good thing to whet your appetite for season 2. I think we got something like this last year at San Diego Comic-Con for season 1. And then, like September, we got that first trailer. Or maybe it was just photos we got early in the summer. And then we got the teaser trailer in September, and then a full trailer a month or so later. So I think in the fall we're going to start seeing stuff like more definitive trailers and things like that.
I just remembered her name.
Okay.
It's Eggianen.
Okay. That's what I was trying to say. Eggianen. So there's that. Yeah, overall, I think, like you said, good stuff to get us thinking, get us talking, which we're doing. So, all right. So, ask me anything from Rafe Judkins on Twitter. We'll go over that. Kind of some highlights there. We're getting, if you are a Wheel of Time fan, if you're a long-time Wheel of Time fan, you probably heard about dragonmount.com back in the day when Robert Jordan was writing the books. That was at least my go-to source for the latest news. I was a member of the forums and all that. And they're still around. They're revamped their website, which I think is great. And they're a little more on top of things. It was kind of dying down until the show was announced. So they jumped back in the game. So that's cool to see them on top of things. But they post a bunch of screenshots from that. Ask Me Anything. So one thing that is always important, always asked, is just, how much of the season is going to match up with the books. And we got that question here. At CF_Golding, he asks, how far into the books will this season take us? Know that the Emmonsfield 5 are much more split up than Eye of the World. So Rafe Judkins answers, we are trying to get a fair amount of what's done in books 1 through 3, large parts still being held for later by the end of season 2, so that season 3 can be a much closer adaptation of The Shadow Rising. What do you think about that? Does that make sense to you?
I mean, no, but I don't know how that. No, in the sense that I don't know how they're going to repair kind of what they've done in season 1, right? But yes, in the actions that they're taking, if they hopefully that they do to get closer to the books, right? And so I don't know where that ends up. Maybe that ends up in where they all end up in Tyr, or they all end up in Falma, right? And then it kind of
Mm-hmm.
adheres kind of what happens in the book, but somehow they've got to all get them to one place. I don't really know how that's going to happen, though, quite frankly, with kind of how they're all over the place right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think they can pull it off. They'll have enough time to do that, to get him back, but will it make sense?
Exactly.
Is the question. So, at JPCJT1 asks, which character had his plot changed the most compared to the books? I think that's a good question. We got Rafe replying with Matt, but we tried to bring the characters back to where they should be by the end of season 2. And I think that's of necessity based on how we saw Matt, the actor who plays Matt, leave the show halfway through or through filming. So they had to make some changes, and it's unfortunate. And I'm willing to give them a pass for that his story is, at least in the beginning, going to be different. That's why we don't see him go to Faldara. It's unfortunate, but you had to do something. So I'm willing to roll with that for sure. But I think as long as by the end of the season, he's back together with the crew, if not sooner, then that's what we need to see. Because, I don't know, just his interactions with Matt in the group is key, I think.
Me too. Yeah, I agree. I think Matt Matt is a good person in the books. He's a really good person. He's not kind of this dark, foreboding,
Yeah.
troubled teen like he's made out to be in the movie, right? And so he's mischievous, but he's not sinister, right?
Yeah.
So I hope they can get him back.
Yeah. Okay. At Lioness Wisdom, instead of an O, it's a 0, asks, what is the journey like for Moraine and Lan in season 2 with their bond still masked? What do you think that means? Their bond is masked?
I know an Aes Sedai can mask their bond, right? But I mean, you heard Moraine at the end of season 1 say she can't touch the power, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I
It's
think
not masked.
no, it's not
It's
masked.
gone. Right? If
I don't
she
know,
can't channel,
right?
there's
I
no
don't know
bond.
if she's stilled or if
Yeah.
she is like stunned or I don't know. So whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, Rafe's reply there, right? We touched on this earlier. I'm excited for them fleshing out the story of Moraine and Lan a lot more. You know?
Yeah. Yes. So let's read it. His reply, another big departure point for us from the books is making much more story for Moraine and Lan. We aren't sitting these two amazing actors on the bench for a season. So we take what's in book 2 for them and expand it in a huge way. That's all I can say. So, yeah, like you said, we talked about that earlier. Well, we both did. We got to do something with them because they're great actors. And they're probably getting paid a lot of money. So.
Oh yeah, And I mean, I can see them taking what's in book 2 and like what you brought up earlier, having flashbacks, right, of how they met, right, or one in Moraine in the tower, Lan with his two traveling companions, like we see in New Spring.
Yeah.
Right? So
Bakura.
anyway. Yeah, Akura, that's his
and
name.
the other guy. It was a
So,
dark friend. Yeah, great opportunity to explore New Spring and kind of give us that backstory. I want to see how, because we have a New Spring, and there was going to be a story about how Moraine and Land ended up in Emmons Field right, in the moment that they did, right before the Dark Friends attacked. And that was going to be another short story that Robert Jordan couldn't ever get to. So I would like to see something like that in flashbacks. This is a good opportunity in this season to do that.
that would be cool. That would be way cool.
Yeah. Brigitte Silverhair Bow asks, one word, one name, Hopper. Rafe replies, thank you. Why is no one ever giving Hopper the respect he deserves? Official announcement, Hopper is in season 2. So I guess we didn't see Hopper in season 1, even though we thought we did. But no. Yeah, that storyline needs to be introduced.
Yep.
Perrin's interactions with the wolves, with Hopper, and that whole journey that they have together, right? So that'll be good.
Yep.
That gives me hope in the sense that they are going to explore the wolf dream and his interactions with the wolves to some degree. So, yeah.
Oh, exactly. They've got to start bringing in the wolves a lot more than they did in season 1.
Yeah.
Especially with Perrin's character development. Perrin's got to take a much more serious as opposed to kind of dopey role like he had in season.
Yeah. It was a shame what they did to his character in season 1.
Yeah.
Favorite season 2 two-person scene with only the character names and no more. That's asked by @GradeKangus Kevin Angus. Rafe replies with Egwene and Rena. Renna. What do you think about that, Kyle?
To me, that says they're going to get into the Suldam, right?
Yeah.
The Shan Chen Suldam and Egwene potentially getting captured, right? But spoiler alert.
Yeah. Because Renna is her handler or whatever, right?
Yep.
Her boss. Yeah.
So,
What was Egwene's pet name there? I can't remember.
Oh, it was. What was it?
Yeah.
Remember.
Yeah. That'll be cool. To see that. That gives me hope too, because that's a key part of Egwene's development and her learning how to become more powerful, how to use the power, and just her discipline too.
Thule.
That
was her pet name, Thule.
Okay. All right. Marissa Van Z asks, favorite type of gin, and also can you drop a hint about something you're looking forward to us seeing in season 2? She has a profile pic of Leandrin. So Rafe responds with, your pick makes me excited about where Leandrin's character goes in season 2. We're so lucky to have the amazing Kate Fleetwood in the show, and you will love, hate, and love to hate her, Lily. Lily?
Lily? I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, she is one of those people you love to hate. That's for sure. I think she does a great job of portraying Leandrin. I mean, it's a character I hated in the books. So
yep.
It's coming through in the show.
She does great. I think they, again, nailed the casting, at least for Leandrin. So.
Yeah. They just are overriding her importance, I think, or her activity in the story.
Yeah.
That's not her fault. She's a great actress. All right. There's a question that when we were talking about the trailer and we saw the back of Pat and Fane walking through a hall and we didn't know where it was. This is what I was thinking. This is where my mind went. Is the Dark Friends social going to be in the show? That's asked by @DedicatedGrady. And Rafe replies, "Yep." Do you want to explain the Dark Friends social? Do you remember what that is?
I honestly know. I was going to ask if you remember, but
Okay.
it's
Well, just
okay.
at the beginning of book 2, I believe, maybe book 3, but I believe it's book 2. There's a party with all the Dark Friends, and they're all masked, so they don't know, like all the important Dark Friends, like top dogs, rulers, politicians. There's some white cloaks there, just all those big players that are Dark Friends, and they're meeting with some Forsaken, and that's when they're like, okay, these are the guys you got to track down, and they show. In my mind, it was like some hologram version of Rand, Matt, and Perrin. They're like, okay, you guys got to bring these guys in, track them down, and you'll get rewarded somehow. But no one knows who each other is. But if you read the descriptions of people and you kind of pay attention to what's going on, what's being said, you can start to figure out who's who in that environment. So
That's right. That's right. For some reason, I was conflating that with the meeting of the Forsaken that happens later.
Oh
But
yeah.
yes, you're right. You've got some, politicians. You've got some Aes Sedai in there.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of powerful people.
Yeah. That scene was very well done in the book, because if you're reading it for the first time, you get the scope of it, but you don't know who's who. And then as you keep reading, you finish it, go back to it, read it again. You're like, oh, that's that guy. You kind of pick up on those clues.
Right.
So, and I think that's where Padden Fane is that he's going there. I don't know. I could be wrong.
I don't think, was he there in the books?
I don't think so.
I don't think he was in the books. But he could be going there in this. So.
Yeah. Who knows? All right. I like this question and this answer. At Ann Caldazar asks, blink twice if we see more than one Forsaken. And Rafe puts in 2 blinking emojis. And then the next question ties into that too, from at Jared McNeil 3. Can you tell us how much you will be expanding on the Forsaken in this season? With Rafe replies, it's a big point of difference from the books in season 2. We will spend more time with any Forsaken who's in the show, more how the later books treat the Forsaken than necessarily books 2 or 3 did. So, is that good news for you, Kyle?
I think it's okay. I'd like to get more of a background on some of the Forsaken, right? And so maybe he's playing at that and saying, we'll get to understand their way of thinking and how they behave a lot more than what we do in the books, at least this early on.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I think I like how the books were written. I have no problem with the amount of screen time the Forsaken get, but to bring him in earlier, sure, why not? Just seeing Balsamon all the time does get kind of boring. So,
right.
Let's see some. We see Landfire. Landfire is introduced in the second book, so we spent some time with her. So hopefully, if I remember correctly, they did cast Landfire and they did announce it. So good to see her. All right, then here's the Uno question at Burns_science. Pretty sure I saw Uno in the behind the scenes, like you did. Interested in how that is possible after last season. So yeah, definitely our gripe and complaint in earlier episodes of this podcast. Rafe replies, he's breathing, watch close. So I don't know. What do you think about it, like that fake out thing that we often get?
That's a reach.
Yeah.
You imply somebody is dead, on the ground like that, right? And that seems like a backpedal thing from Rafe, right? Saying, oh, actually, he's breathing, see?
Yeah. If you pause at 36:45 and zoom in 5 times, you can kind of see that he's breathing.
Maybe that's the case with everybody else that was on the floor, like Loyal and
Yeah, is
all.
Loyal still breathing?
Loyal still. I guess we better go and pause the video and
Yeah,
go in slow motion. You
yeah,
know.
yeah. I don't like that. I mean, yeah. Anyway,
I mean, I'm glad that they're trying to correct stupid decisions, but
yeah. Why do it in the first place?
yeah, why did you do it in the first place? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. The next question's interesting. At Crows92, I have a cheat question about season 1. What was the biggest change in episode 8 that was brought by COVID restrictions compared to what you had originally planned? Rafe replies, the thing I liked the least was we originally had Egwene using the wisdom skills she'd learned in the pilot from Nynaeve to help her after the channeling in Fall Dara. But last minute COVID changes on the day didn't allow for the same amount of touching, so it got switched and I
Nope.
melted. Is that that emoji?
That's I don't know what that emoji is. Looks
Or
like melted.
some emoji.
Cried.
Yeah.
Sitting
Here,
in
I'll have to
puddle
look
of
it up.
tears. I don't know.
But yeah. So, but I'm trying to think. So he's saying we originally had after. So the scene plays out the same, except for Nynaeve uses healing skills on Nynaeve, so she's not dead. But didn't we see that anyway?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't. For me, that wasn't the problem with that whole scene. There was like all these other problems. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Question from Bree. Are you sticking with the fun cold opens? You know, meaning the openings that we get before the title and the casting, starring stuff. Yep, it's our ode to the out of point of view chapters in the books, and we will always have them, which I like. I actually like those. Some of them are the very first one that we got in the first episode. I didn't like at all, but I think everyone after that I thought was great.
Yeah. No, I agree. The first one was weak. The last ones were pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, and then we get a final question for today. Phil Thomas, I like his avatar. He's got a lightsaber. It's pretty cool. He asks, how many episodes will season 2 be? If only 8 again, will they be longer? And Rafe replies with, the episodes are longer than the first season, but yes, still only 8 episodes in the season. I think they do need to address that, the amount of story being told. 8 episodes wasn't enough for last season. I think that's why they made changes that led, at least me, to not fully appreciate the show and what could have been, because they had to decrease the content and the amount of time spent telling the story. So hopefully with these longer episodes in season 2, hopefully that's enough to get us what I felt was lacking last time.
I think so. I hope so. I wonder how much longer they'll be.
Yeah. I mean, if it's like 5 minutes, okay, that's better. But how much are we gonna get out of 5 minutes? If it's got to be at least 15 plus.
Yeah, we need 15 to half an hour per episode.
Yeah. And we saw that with Stranger Things this last season. I mean, those episodes were about an hour and 15. So, and those last 2 were 2 hours, right? I don't think we'll get that. That'd be nice, but
it would be nice. I don't know if they'll do that though. But in my opinion, I think they need to be closer to a half an hour longer.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay. So, one last thing is it was announced that the series been renewed for season 3. So that's good. We'll see how, with as much controversy and criticism that season 1 got, it's good that to see a studio still standing behind their product. Like, okay, some people liked it, some people hated it, but we're going to do season 2. And they greenlit it, and now they're announcing season 3. So I'm liking it. I think that's bodes well for us as fans.
I think so too. And that's no excuse. We're still going to have our therapy sessions.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think if you're gonna build, or if you're gonna film something a certain way and tell a certain story, then commit and continue to do the story. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's it for today. As far as reviewing the trailer, asking the questions, answering the questions from Rafe. So a lot of good content for the show not being on, right? It's in between seasons, but we still got some good stuff. There are some things that there's the whole Origins series that I wasn't aware of while the show was going on. I guess I use Apple TV to watch my content, and the whole X-ray thing doesn't show up on my Apple TV. And that's the thing that lets you know who the actors are, gives you the behind-the-scenes stuff. If I watch it on my computer, then I can see it. But if I'm watching it on my TV through my Apple TV, those type of things didn't show up. So I wasn't even aware of this Origin series. So I'm going to go back and watch that, and they're going to do the similar thing for season 2, it sounds like. And Rafe has said in that Ask Me Anything, one of the questions asked, is this Origins content canon or just good stuff to know? And he says it's canon. So whatever we see there is part of the story that they're trying to tell. So I'm curious to see how that goes.
wow,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, the first one is the breaking of the world.
Yeah. That one looks interesting. Yeah, go ahead and read those the titles.
You got the breaking of the world, the fall of Monethrin. Okay, that one would be cool.
Yeah.
The greatest warder, Saidin, Saidar, and the stone. So maybe that's why Saidin and Saidar are, not welcome in Tyr in the stone. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
So that could be interesting. The White Tower and an Ogier's Longing. That one also could be really interesting.
Yeah.
So
looks like some good stuff.
I'm
They're
excited.
about 3 minutes long is what it looks like, so not too bad. Probably watch them all in one sitting.
Absolutely.
So we'll probably talk about those at some point in the future. But yeah, that's all we got. Any final thoughts on that content and the questions that we talked about, Kyle?
I'm excited, Justin. I think it's going to be a good, a fun thing to watch. Right? Great cinematography. Great TV show. Likely still going to be pretty different from the books, if I'm bet. Right?
Yeah.
But at least we know what we're getting into this time, right? So when we sit down and watch it, we can appreciate it for what it is, as opposed to. And it's not like I'm not going to compare it to the books. I'm still going to compare it to the books, but I can appreciate it for what it is. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah. I think having that season 1 under our belts and just kind of knowing it's not going to be the same. It won't be as jarring.
Yeah.
And I think we'll be more willing to follow the story that's being told as opposed to fighting back against everything. Like, hey, that's not right. We've kind of had a year to adjust to that. Like you said, we'll still be like, well, in the book, this happened. That was much better, which is, I think, you're going to have with any book to screen adaptation. So yeah. I can live with that. I just want a good show, which, like you said, I mean, the cinematography is awesome. That alone is worth watching, in my opinion. Exactly. I like the actors. They're great. That was one of my big questions coming in the show, is never really heard of it. Most of these guys, how are they going to be? And for me, they've done really well. So I'm excited about that. So, okay. Well, thanks for joining. Thanks for watching us here on the Fourth Taviran podcast. We are one of the few, if only, family-friendly podcasts. So definitely check it out with your kids. Watch the show. Sometimes the show isn't family-friendly, but I think if you have older kids, it could be. But yeah, check us out on YouTube. We are starting to do more videos. So most of our previous episodes are audio only. And you can find those episodes on crediblenerds.com or even fourthtaviran.com. It'll direct you to our Fourth Taviran podcast episodes. Check us out there. We are missing one component of our group. One Taviran has got Mark. He couldn't make it today, so we will hopefully get him on next time and talk more about the books. That's our, I believe we were going to do it last time. We were going to talk more about the books, but then all this content was released, so we decided to do this instead. But we will be revisiting Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series and talking more about that, wrapping up The Eye of the World, our review of the last few chapters there. So stick around, watch our shows, subscribe to our channel. That helps us out a lot. And we will continue to produce more content as things go along. So thanks for joining us, and may you guys find water and shade.
See you later, everybody.
Bye.